Welcome, history buffs. Today, we're embarking on a journey to a period shrouded in myth and misconception, the Crusades. You likely picture a simplistic narrative, clashing armies, religious zealots, and a relentless struggle between Christianity and Islam. But that's a drastically oversimplified, almost cartoonish, version of a story far richer and more complex than your history textbook ever let on. Prepare to be surprised, because the legacy of the Crusades extends far beyond the battlefield, reaching into the very fabric of our modern world in ways you might never have imagined. Get ready to uncover the unexpected. We're used to thinking of the Crusades as a series of religious wars, a black and white struggle between good and evil, crusaders and infidels. This is the narrative that's been ingrained in our collective consciousness for centuries, often fueled by biased historical accounts written by those with a vested interest in portraying the events in a particular light. But the reality was far more nuanced, far more intricate, a tapestry woven with threads of political ambition, economic gain, social upheaval, and cultural exchange. It was a period of unprecedented movement and interaction, a time of both brutal conflict and surprising cooperation. Think about the common image: helmeted knights charging across the sands, their swords dripping with the blood of their enemies. While this certainly played a part, it's only a tiny fraction of the whole story. The Crusades weren't solely about religious fervor. They were driven by a complex interplay of factors, many of which had little to do with piety. Political maneuvering, the thirst for power, the allure of wealth, these were potent forces shaping the events, often overshadowing the religious motivations. Kings and emperors used the Crusades to expand their territories, to consolidate their power, and to eliminate rivals. Ambitious nobles saw an opportunity for glory, for land, and for riches. The participants themselves were a diverse group, far from being a monolithic force of pious warriors. There were knights and nobles, certainly, but also merchants, artisans, peasants, and even women, each with their own reasons for joining the expeditions. Their motivations were diverse and often intertwined: religious zeal, economic opportunity, the desire for adventure, or simply the pressure to conform to societal expectations. To understand the Crusades, we must move beyond simplistic narratives and delve into the individual experiences, the diverse motivations, and the complex interplay of factors that shaped this pivotal period in history. The popular perception often paints a picture of a one-sided conflict, with the Crusaders as valiant heroes battling against a monolithic enemy. But the reality was far more complicated. The Islamic world wasn't a unified entity. It was a collection of diverse kingdoms, empires, and city-states, often at odds with one another. The interactions between Crusaders and Muslims were not always characterized by violence. There were periods of cooperation, trade, and even cultural exchange, challenging the simplistic narrative of constant warfare. We'll explore these unexpected alliances and collaborations, revealing a far more nuanced understanding of the relationships between the different groups involved. The Crusades were a period of extraordinary upheaval, a time of both destruction and creation. While the violence and bloodshed are undeniable aspects of the story, we must also acknowledge the significant long-term consequences, the unexpected legacies that continue to shape our world today. We'll explore these profound and often overlooked impacts, challenging the simplistic narratives and revealing the multifaceted nature of this pivotal period in history. Prepare to challenge your preconceived notions, to question your assumptions, and to discover a side of the Crusades you never knew existed. Let's embark on this journey together and uncover the unexpected. We've all seen the images: helmeted knights, swords gleaming, charging across sun-baked battlefields, clashing with turbaned warriors in a brutal, seemingly endless conflict. This is the iconic, almost cartoonish image of the Crusades, a religious war, a clash of civilizations, a simple narrative of good versus evil. But the reality, as with most historical events, is far more nuanced, far more complex than this simplistic portrayal allows. To truly understand the legacy of the Crusades, we must dismantle this oversimplified narrative and delve into the intricate tapestry of political ambition, economic motivations, and surprising cultural exchanges that shaped this pivotal period. The popular image focuses on the religious zeal, the fervent belief that fueled the Crusades. And undoubtedly, religious fervor played a significant role. The call to reclaim the Holy Land, to liberate Jerusalem from Muslim rule, resonated deeply with many across Europe. The papacy, seeking to consolidate its power and influence, cleverly utilized this religious zeal to mobilize armies and resources. The promise of salvation, the lure of divine favor, and the opportunity to atone for sins were powerful motivators, driving countless individuals to embark on these perilous journeys. However, reducing the Crusades solely to religious zeal ignores a crucial aspect: the profound economic and political factors that intertwined with religious motivations. The Crusades were not merely a holy war, they were also a massive undertaking with significant economic implications. The sheer scale of these military expeditions demanded immense financial resources that kings, princes, and the papacy themselves often lacked. This led to the development of sophisticated financial systems, the rise of powerful banking families, and the creation of innovative methods of fundraising and resource management. The financing of the Crusades inadvertently spurred the growth of international trade and commerce, laying the groundwork for future economic expansion. Furthermore, the political landscape of Europe at the time was far from stable. The Crusades offered ambitious rulers opportunities to expand their territories, consolidate their power, and eliminate rivals. Kings and emperors used the Crusades to divert attention from internal conflicts, to gain prestige and legitimacy, and to enhance their international standing. The promise of land, wealth, and glory in the East attracted ambitious nobles and knights, who saw the Crusades as a chance to advance their own careers and fortunes. The political maneuvering and power struggles that characterized the Crusades were as complex and intricate as the religious motivations themselves. The interactions between the Crusaders and the Muslim world were also far more multifaceted than the simplistic narrative suggests. While warfare undoubtedly played a significant role, there were also periods of surprising cooperation, trade, and cultural exchange. The Crusader states established in the Levant fostered contact between East and West, resulting in a significant exchange of ideas, technologies, and goods. This exchange was not one-sided. Both sides benefited from the interaction, albeit in different ways. The flow of goods and knowledge across the Mediterranean was dramatically altered, leading to significant cultural transformations in both Europe and the Middle East. In short, the Crusades were not simply a religious conflict. They were a complex interplay of religious fervor, political ambition, economic incentives, and cultural exchange. To reduce them to a simplistic narrative of clashing armies ignores the intricate tapestry of motivations, interactions, and consequences that shaped this pivotal period in history. By understanding the multifaceted nature of the Crusades, we can gain a far richer and more accurate understanding of their profound and lasting legacy. We'll explore these complexities in greater detail, revealing the unexpected and often overlooked aspects of this transformative period. The journey to understanding the true legacy of the Crusades requires us to move beyond the simplistic narratives and embrace the intricacies of this multifaceted historical event. The next steps in our journey will reveal the far-reaching consequences, the unexpected innovations, and the surprising cultural exchanges that forever altered the course of history. Now, let's shift our focus from the often oversimplified narratives of religious conflict to a fascinating aspect of the Crusades that often gets overlooked: their impact on technological advancements. Forget the romanticized image of valiant knights. The Crusades were, in many ways, a medieval arms race, a period of intense innovation driven by the urgent need to conquer and defend. The constant warfare, the struggle for dominance in the Holy Land, and the sheer scale of the military campaigns necessitated the development of new and improved weaponry, fortifications, and naval technology. Think about the sheer logistical challenge of transporting armies across vast distances, often by sea. The Crusades dramatically accelerated advancements in shipbuilding. The need for larger, more robust vessels capable of carrying heavy loads and withstanding the rigors of long voyages spurred innovation in naval architecture. We see the development of more efficient hull designs, improved navigational techniques, and the incorporation of new materials, all contributing to a significant leap forward in maritime technology. The construction of larger, more heavily armed galleys and the refinement of sailing techniques allowed for the efficient transport of troops, supplies, and siege equipment across the Mediterranean, fundamentally altering the dynamics of naval warfare. This wasn't simply a matter of building bigger boats. It involved a complex interplay of engineering, craftsmanship, and logistical planning. The construction of these ships required skilled artisans, specialized tools, and an organized system of resource management. The development of larger and more effective ships not only facilitated the transportation of troops, but also significantly enhanced the ability to project power across the sea. This had a profound impact on the balance of power in the Mediterranean, shaping the political and economic landscape of the region for centuries to come. On land, the story is equally compelling. The constant warfare fostered a rapid evolution in weaponry and siege warfare techniques. The Crusaders encountered new and formidable opponents in the Middle East, forcing them to adapt and innovate. The adoption of new weapons and tactics, many originating from the East, revolutionized the art of war. The introduction of more effective siege weaponry, such as improved catapults and trebuchets, allowed for the more efficient breaching of fortified walls. These technological advancements were not merely incremental improvements. They represented a significant leap forward in military technology, altering the dynamics of warfare and the very shape of medieval battlefields. Consider the impact of the crossbow, a weapon that gained widespread adoption during the Crusades. Its superior accuracy and penetrating power transformed battlefield tactics and gave a significant advantage to those who employed it. The development of more effective armor and defensive structures also played a crucial role in the ongoing arms race. The Crusaders faced formidable opponents who were equally adept at warfare, forcing a constant cycle of innovation in both offensive and defensive technologies. This arms race, fueled by the relentless pressures of the Crusades, led to significant advancements in metallurgical techniques, the refinement of armor designs, and the development of more effective weaponry. The adoption of gunpowder technology, while still in its nascent stages during the Crusades, marked a turning point in military history. Although the widespread use of gunpowder weapons came later, the Crusades played a role in its introduction to Europe. The exposure to more advanced military technologies in the East, including early forms of gunpowder weapons, sparked further innovation and experimentation in Europe. This exchange of military technologies, while often born out of conflict, contributed to a broader technological shift that would have far-reaching consequences in subsequent centuries. Beyond weaponry and shipbuilding, the Crusades also spurred innovations in siege warfare techniques. The construction of elaborate fortifications and the development of sophisticated siege engines were crucial aspects of the military campaigns. The constant back and forth between attackers and defenders led to a rapid evolution in siege tactics. The design and construction of castles, fortified cities, and defensive structures were significantly refined, reflecting a constant adaptation to the evolving nature of warfare. The knowledge gained from these innovations wasn't confined to the battlefield. It also had a significant impact on civil engineering and the development of urban infrastructure. The impact of the Crusades on technological advancement was not limited to military applications. The increased demand for specialized tools, materials, and skilled labor stimulated economic growth and spurred further innovation in various industries. The development of more efficient manufacturing techniques, improved transportation systems, and the adoption of new materials all contributed to a wider technological transformation that extended beyond the battlefield. The Crusades, while undoubtedly a period of intense conflict, also served as a powerful catalyst for technological innovation, shaping the trajectory of European development for centuries to come. The legacy of this medieval arms race is far more profound and far-reaching than many realize, impacting not only military technology, but also the broader social and economic development of Europe. But the Crusades weren't just a brutal clash of arms. They were also a surprising incubator of cultural exchange. While the image of clashing armies dominates our understanding, a closer look reveals a vibrant, albeit often overlooked, exchange of ideas, technologies, and cultural practices between East and West. This cross-pollination, born amidst the chaos of war, profoundly shaped the intellectual and artistic landscapes of Europe, leaving an indelible mark on our world today. Think of the everyday objects surrounding you, the clothes you wear, the food you eat, the architecture you admire. Many aspects of modern life owe a surprising debt to the cultural exchange fostered by the Crusades. This wasn't a simple transfer of goods. It was a complex and multifaceted process involving the movement of people, ideas, and technologies across vast distances. One of the most immediate and tangible examples of this exchange is the introduction of new foods and spices. The culinary landscape of Europe was irrevocably altered by the influx of ingredients from the East. Imagine the aroma of freshly ground spices, cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg, ginger, filling the medieval kitchens of Europe. These aromatic treasures, previously unavailable or exorbitantly expensive, became more accessible, transforming European cuisine. The familiar flavors of many dishes we enjoy today, from fragrant curries to rich stews, owe their origins, at least in part, to this culinary exchange. Italian cuisine, for instance, is a testament to this cross-cultural culinary fusion. The introduction of new ingredients from the East, tomatoes, citrus fruits, and various spices, profoundly transformed Italian cooking. Pasta, a staple of Italian cuisine, while not directly originating from the Crusades, saw its evolution and widespread adoption significantly influenced by the influx of new ingredients and cooking techniques from the East. The vibrant and diverse culinary landscape of Italy, a testament to centuries of culinary innovation, reflects the lasting impact of this cultural exchange. The exchange wasn't just about ingredients, it was also about cooking techniques and culinary traditions. The knowledge of food preservation, preparation, and the use of spices profoundly changed European culinary practices. Beyond the culinary realm, the exchange of ideas and knowledge extended to various other aspects of life. The Crusades facilitated the transfer of scientific and technological advancements. The Islamic world, a center of learning and innovation at the time, possessed a wealth of knowledge in mathematics, astronomy, medicine, and engineering. This knowledge, often preserved and expanded upon by Islamic scholars, found its way back to Europe through various channels, including the interactions between crusaders and scholars in the East. The rediscovery of classical Greek and Roman texts, preserved and studied by Islamic scholars, played a crucial role in the intellectual ferment of the Renaissance, a period of significant intellectual and artistic flourishing. The architectural landscape of Europe was also profoundly impacted. Gothic architecture, with its soaring spires, pointed arches, and intricate detailing, shows clear influences from the East. The Crusaders, exposed to the architectural marvels of the Islamic world, brought back architectural styles, techniques, and ideas that profoundly shaped European building practices. The intricate designs, the use of stained glass, and the overall aesthetic of Gothic architecture bear witness to this cross-cultural exchange. The exchange wasn't a simple imitation, it was a creative process of adaptation and innovation, resulting in a unique synthesis of Eastern and Western styles. The impact extends beyond the tangible. The exchange of philosophical and religious ideas was equally significant. The encounter between Christianity and Islam, while often characterized by conflict, also fostered intellectual debate and the exchange of theological ideas. The debates and dialogues, while often fraught with tension, nonetheless contributed to a deeper understanding of different religious perspectives. The exposure to different philosophical and theological viewpoints broadened the intellectual horizons of Europeans, contributing to a more diverse and complex intellectual landscape. Furthermore, the Crusades facilitated the transfer of artistic and literary styles. The Crusaders brought back not only material goods but also artistic techniques and styles. The influence of Islamic art, with its intricate patterns, vibrant colors, and sophisticated craftsmanship, can be seen in various artistic expressions in Europe. The exchange wasn't limited to the high arts, it also impacted everyday crafts and decorative arts. The exposure to different artistic traditions enriched the artistic repertoire of Europe, contributing to the development of unique and hybrid art forms. The exchange was not a one-way street. While Europe gained significantly from the influx of Eastern knowledge and technologies, the East also benefited from the interaction. The movement of people and ideas across the Mediterranean fostered a dynamic exchange, enriching both cultures. The Crusades, despite their violent aspects, inadvertently created channels for cultural communication and exchange. The encounters, collaborations, and exchanges between people from different backgrounds, despite the backdrop of conflict, fostered a vibrant exchange that shaped the future of both East and West. It's crucial to understand that this cultural exchange wasn't always smooth or peaceful. It occurred amidst the violence and brutality of war, and the interactions were often complex and fraught with tension. But even within this context of conflict, a surprising level of cultural exchange took place, shaping the intellectual, artistic, and culinary landscapes of Europe for centuries to come. This exchange, born out of conflict, stands as a testament to the resilience and adaptability of human cultures and the enduring power of cross-cultural interaction. The legacy of the Crusades, therefore, extends far beyond the battlefield, shaping our world in ways we might never have imagined. The seemingly simple act of conquest and conflict had profound and far-reaching consequences, leaving an indelible mark on our modern world. Now, let's talk taste. Forget the clash of steel and the roar of battle for a moment. Let's explore a surprisingly delicious legacy of the Crusades, the introduction of new foods and spices that fundamentally altered European cuisine, and indeed, the world's palate. While images of knights and sieges dominate our understanding, the reality is far richer, encompassing a vibrant exchange of flavors and ingredients that fundamentally changed what we eat. Think about your favorite Italian dishes. That rich tomato sauce, the fragrant basil, the zesty lemon. Many of the ingredients that form the foundation of Italian cuisine have surprising origins, their journeys tracing back to the bustling trade routes opened and reshaped by the Crusades. This isn't just about adding a pinch of exotic spice. It's about the complete transformation of culinary traditions. Before the Crusades, the European diet was relatively bland by today's standards. Spices were rare and expensive, largely confined to the wealthy elite. The common people subsisted on a diet primarily consisting of grains, vegetables, and limited amounts of meat. The Crusades, however, shattered this culinary monotony, opening up trade routes and creating a flow of ingredients previously unknown in Europe. The voyages to the East, though primarily driven by religious zeal and political ambition, inadvertently created a conduit for the exchange of goods and, most importantly, for the introduction of new and exciting flavors. The Crusaders, returning from the Holy Land, brought back not only tales of adventure but also sacks filled with exotic spices and previously unseen ingredients. The impact of spices alone was transformative. Cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg, ginger. These aromatic treasures, once the exclusive preserve of the wealthy, became gradually more accessible, albeit still expensive, enriching the European palate and transforming the art of cooking. These spices weren't merely added for flavor. They were also used as preservatives, extending the shelf life of food and allowing for a more diverse and varied diet. But the influence extended far beyond spices. The Crusades were instrumental in the introduction of numerous other ingredients that are now staples of European and global cuisine. Take the humble tomato, for instance. Originally from the Americas, tomatoes arrived in Europe via transatlantic trade routes that were themselves influenced by the economic changes spurred by the Crusades. The increased demand for goods from the East, fueled by the Crusades, stimulated the growth of trade networks, including the transatlantic routes, making the exchange of ingredients possible on a much larger scale. The tomato's journey from the Americas to Europe highlights the interconnectedness of the global trade system. The Crusades were not the sole catalyst, but they played a pivotal role in creating a more interconnected world where the exchange of ingredients could occur on a scale never before seen. The impact of this exchange went beyond the mere introduction of new foods. It fundamentally changed culinary traditions, leading to the development of new recipes and cooking techniques. Let's return to Italian cuisine. The introduction of tomatoes, along with other ingredients like citrus fruits, peppers, and various herbs and spices, revolutionized Italian cooking. The rich, flavorful tomato sauces that characterize so many Italian dishes are a direct consequence of this culinary exchange. Think of pasta, a staple of Italian cuisine. While the origins of pasta are debated, the Crusades significantly influenced its evolution and widespread adoption, providing the new ingredients and techniques that shaped its development. The impact of the Crusades on culinary traditions wasn't limited to Italy. Across Europe, the introduction of new ingredients led to the development of new dishes and cooking styles. The exchange of culinary knowledge and techniques created a vibrant culinary landscape, far more diverse and flavorful than it had been before the Crusades. The Crusades were not only a period of warfare and religious conflict, they were also a period of culinary innovation, a testament to the surprising ways in which even the most violent historical events can lead to unexpected cultural transformations. The introduction of sugar, another key ingredient in many dishes, also saw a significant increase in availability due to the expansion of trade routes facilitated by the Crusades. Sugar, previously a luxury item, became more widely available, influencing the development of desserts and sweet treats across Europe. The sweetness that characterizes many European desserts can be traced, at least partially, to the increased availability of sugar brought about by the expansion of trade. The exchange wasn't a one-way street. European ingredients also found their way to the East, enriching the culinary traditions of the Middle East and beyond. The Crusades created a dynamic exchange of culinary knowledge and practices, enriching the cuisines of both East and West. This culinary exchange is a testament to the interconnectedness of cultures and the surprising ways in which even the most violent historical events can have profound and lasting impacts on seemingly unrelated aspects of life. So, the next time you savor a plate of pasta, a flavorful stew, or a fragrant spice-infused dish, remember that the rich tapestry of flavors you enjoy owes a surprising debt to the unexpected legacy of the Crusades. The impact extends beyond the mere introduction of new ingredients. It's about the transformation of culinary traditions, the development of new dishes, and the creation of a far more diverse and flavorful culinary landscape. The Crusades were a period of conflict, yes, but also a period of unexpected culinary fusion, a testament to the enduring power of cultural exchange. And that, my friends, is a legacy worth savoring. The Crusades, often depicted as a brutal clash of religious ideologies, had a profound and undeniable impact on the economic landscape of the Mediterranean. While the image of clashing armies dominates our understanding, the reality is far more complex, revealing a significant reshaping of trade routes and the flow of goods and resources across the region. Forget the romanticized image of valiant knights. Let's delve into the surprisingly intricate economic consequences of these epic military campaigns. Before the Crusades, the Mediterranean trade network, while already extensive, was relatively fragmented. Trade existed, of course, but it was often localized, with various regional powers controlling specific routes and exchanges. The Byzantine Empire, with its strategic location, played a crucial role, but its power was waning, leaving the Mediterranean trade network vulnerable to disruption and instability. The Crusades, however unintentionally, acted as a catalyst, dramatically reshaping this network and creating a more integrated, albeit sometimes volatile, system. The sheer scale of the Crusades necessitated a massive logistical undertaking. Transporting armies, supplying them with provisions, and equipping them with weapons required an unprecedented level of organization and coordination. This, in turn, stimulated the growth of maritime trade, leading to significant advancements in shipbuilding and navigation. Larger, more robust ships were needed to carry the immense quantities of supplies and equipment required for these military campaigns. This demand spurred innovation in shipbuilding, leading to the development of more efficient hull designs, improved navigational techniques, and the incorporation of new materials, all contributing to a significant leap forward in maritime technology. The establishment of Crusader states in the Levant created new trading hubs and facilitated the direct exchange of goods between Europe and the East. These states, while often fragile and precarious, acted as intermediaries, connecting European merchants with the thriving markets of the Middle East and beyond. Goods flowed in both directions, creating a dynamic exchange that enriched the economies of both regions. European merchants gained access to valuable commodities such as spices, silks, and luxury goods from the East, while Eastern merchants found new markets for their products in Europe. The Crusades weren't just about military conquest, they were also about economic gain. Many participants, particularly merchants and nobles, saw the expeditions as an opportunity for profit. The increased demand for goods from the East, spurred by the Crusades, created a lucrative market for European merchants. This increased demand led to the development of more sophisticated trading networks and the establishment of new trading posts along the Mediterranean coast. The flow of goods was not merely a one-way street. European goods, such as textiles, metalwork, and agricultural products, also found their way to the East, creating a complex and dynamic exchange. The impact on specific trade routes was profound. The traditional routes through the Byzantine Empire were increasingly bypassed as the Crusader states established their own trading networks. Venice and Genoa, two powerful Italian city-states, emerged as dominant players in the Mediterranean trade, profiting immensely from the increased volume of trade generated by the Crusades. Their fleets controlled key maritime routes, facilitating the movement of goods and resources across the Mediterranean. The rise of these Italian maritime republics highlights the significant economic transformation spurred by the Crusades. Their dominance in Mediterranean trade would shape the economic and political landscape of the region for centuries to come. The increased volume of trade also led to the development of more sophisticated financial systems. Financing the massive military campaigns of the Crusades required innovative financial instruments and practices. The development of banking and credit systems was crucial in managing the vast sums of money needed to support these expeditions. Powerful banking families, such as the Lombards, played a vital role in financing the Crusades, developing sophisticated financial techniques that would shape the future of European banking. The need for efficient systems to manage the financial aspects of the Crusades inadvertently spurred the growth of international finance and commerce, laying the groundwork for future economic expansion. The Crusades, therefore, fundamentally altered the flow of goods and resources across the Mediterranean. The establishment of Crusader states, the rise of Italian maritime republics, and the development of sophisticated financial systems were all direct consequences of these military campaigns. The increased volume of trade, the establishment of new trading routes, and the development of more efficient transportation and financial systems had a profound and lasting impact on the economies of Europe and the Middle East. The legacy of the Crusades extends far beyond the battlefield, revealing a surprisingly significant reshaping of the economic landscape of the Mediterranean. The changes were not always positive. Disruptions to existing trade routes and the instability caused by warfare had negative consequences for some regions and populations. However, the overall effect was a significant transformation of the Mediterranean economy, creating a more integrated and dynamic trading network that would shape the future of international commerce. The exchange of goods was not simply a matter of commercial transactions. It was also a conduit for the exchange of ideas, technologies, and cultural practices. The movement of people and goods across the Mediterranean fostered a vibrant cultural exchange that enriched the societies of both East and West. This cultural exchange, although often overshadowed by the violence and brutality of the Crusades, played a crucial role in shaping the intellectual, artistic, and culinary landscapes of Europe. The introduction of new foods, spices, and artistic styles transformed European society in profound ways. In conclusion, the impact of the Crusades on Mediterranean trade routes is undeniable. The events significantly altered the flow of goods and resources, leading to the rise of powerful city-states, the development of sophisticated financial systems, and a profound reshaping of the economic landscape. This economic transformation, intertwined with cultural exchange, left a lasting legacy that continues to shape our world today. The Crusades were not simply religious wars. They were also a catalyst for significant economic and social change, highlighting the complex and multifaceted nature of this pivotal historical period. This seemingly simple act of military conquest had profound and far-reaching economic consequences, demonstrating the interconnectedness of military, economic, and cultural forces in shaping the course of history. The legacy of the Crusades, therefore, extends far beyond the battlefield, impacting the very fabric of our modern world in ways we are only beginning to fully appreciate. Now, let's shift our focus from the battlefield to the counting house. The Crusades, those epic clashes of arms, weren't just about religious fervor and military might. They were also a colossal financial undertaking, demanding unimaginable resources and prompting an unprecedented evolution in financial systems. The sheer scale of these expeditions, massive armies needing to be equipped, transported, and sustained for years across vast distances, necessitated a level of financial organization that simply didn't exist before. This need, in turn, fueled the rise of powerful banking families and the development of sophisticated financial instruments that would profoundly shape the future of European finance. Imagine the logistical nightmare: feeding, clothing, and arming tens of thousands of soldiers, transporting them across the Mediterranean, and sustaining them for years in a foreign land. This wasn't a matter of a king simply emptying his royal coffers. It required a complex system of fundraising, resource management, and financial innovation. Kings and princes, often lacking the necessary funds, turned to wealthy merchants and bankers for assistance, creating a symbiotic relationship that would forever alter the landscape of European finance. Before the Crusades, financial systems were relatively rudimentary. Simple barter systems and localized trade networks predominated. Large-scale financial transactions were difficult, if not impossible, to manage. The financing of the Crusades, however, demanded a leap forward, a need to create systems capable of handling vast sums of money, managing complex transactions across long distances, and mitigating the inherent risks involved in such ambitious ventures. Enter the Italian banking families. Cities like Florence, Siena, and Genoa, strategically located along crucial trade routes, became centers of financial innovation. Families like the Medici, the Peruzzi, and the Bardi, initially involved in merchant activities, gradually evolved into powerful banking dynasties, mastering the art of international finance. They developed sophisticated methods of managing capital, including bills of exchange, letters of credit, and early forms of insurance, enabling large-scale financial transactions across Europe and beyond. Bills of exchange, a cornerstone of this new financial architecture, allowed merchants to transfer funds across vast distances without the need for physically transporting large sums of gold or silver. These documents, essentially promissory notes, could be traded and exchanged, greatly facilitating international commerce. Letters of credit provided a secure method of guaranteeing payment, reducing the risks associated with long-distance trade and enabling merchants to conduct business with greater confidence. Early forms of insurance, designed to mitigate the risks of loss at sea or during land transport, further enhanced the security and reliability of financial transactions. The financing of the Crusades was a high-stakes gamble. Lending to kings and princes involved significant risks, as there was no guarantee of repayment. However, the potential rewards were equally substantial. The banking families who successfully financed these expeditions reaped enormous profits, consolidating their wealth and establishing themselves as dominant players in the European financial landscape. Their success demonstrated the power of financial innovation and the importance of managing risk in large-scale ventures. The Crusades weren't just about military campaigns. They were also about the development of sophisticated financial instruments and practices. The need to raise, manage, and distribute vast sums of money across Europe and the Middle East led to the creation of innovative financial tools and institutions. These innovations, born out of the necessity to finance these epic military expeditions, had a profound and lasting impact on the development of European capitalism. The growth of international trade, spurred by the Crusades, further fueled the expansion of these banking families. The increased volume of commerce created a greater demand for financial services, solidifying the position of these families as key players in the European economy. Their expertise in managing capital, mitigating risk, and facilitating international transactions helped to create a more integrated and efficient financial system. The impact extended beyond the purely economic. The rise of these banking families also had significant political and social consequences. Their wealth and influence gave them considerable power, often exceeding that of even the most powerful nobles and monarchs. This concentration of financial power shifted the balance of power within European society, contributing to the rise of new political and social structures. The development of accounting practices was another crucial consequence. Managing the complex finances of the Crusades necessitated the development of more sophisticated accounting methods. Double-entry bookkeeping, a system that allowed for a more accurate and comprehensive tracking of financial transactions, gained widespread adoption during this period. This innovation significantly improved the transparency and accountability of financial transactions, laying the groundwork for modern accounting practices. The Crusades, therefore, inadvertently fostered a revolution in finance. The need to fund these massive military campaigns led to the creation of sophisticated financial systems, the rise of powerful banking families, and the development of innovative financial instruments. These developments, born out of the necessity to support the Crusades, had a profound and lasting impact on the European economy, shaping the future of international finance and commerce. The legacy of the Crusades, therefore, extends far beyond the battlefield, reaching into the very heart of our modern financial systems. The seemingly simple act of funding a war led to a transformation in finance, a testament to the interconnectedness of historical events and their often unexpected consequences. The next time you hear about the Crusades, remember it's not just about swords and shields, it's also about the birth of modern finance. Now, let's shift our gaze from the clash of swords and the clang of armor to a more subtle, yet equally profound, impact of the Crusades, their influence on architecture and art. While the popular image focuses on the battlefield, the reality is that the centuries-long interaction between East and West during the Crusades led to a remarkable exchange of artistic ideas and techniques, resulting in a transformation of European aesthetics that continues to resonate today. We often think of the Crusades as purely a military endeavor, but the movement of people, goods, and ideas across the Mediterranean had a profound and lasting impact on the artistic landscape of Europe. The most striking example of this influence is the emergence of Gothic architecture. While Gothic style had its roots in earlier Romanesque traditions, its distinctive features, the soaring pointed arches, the ribbed vaults, the intricate tracery of stained glass windows, the flying buttresses that allowed for taller and more slender structures, owe a significant debt to the architectural innovations of the Islamic world and the Byzantine Empire. Crusaders, witnessing the grandeur and sophistication of Eastern architecture, brought back not just physical objects but also ideas and techniques that were incorporated into the evolving Gothic style. The pointed arch, for instance, a defining feature of Gothic architecture, was not an invention of Western Europe. Similar arches had been used extensively in Islamic architecture for centuries, demonstrating a mastery of engineering and aesthetics that was both elegant and structurally efficient. The Crusaders, encountering these arches in mosques, palaces, and other structures in the Middle East, were undoubtedly impressed by their beauty and practicality. The adoption of the pointed arch was not a simple imitation. It was a process of adaptation and innovation, resulting in a unique Western interpretation of an Eastern architectural element. The pointed arch allowed for greater height and light in cathedrals, creating a sense of awe and reverence that was central to the religious experience of the time. Similarly, the ribbed vault, another key element of Gothic architecture, shows Eastern influences. The ribbed vault, unlike the simpler barrel vaults of Romanesque architecture, provided greater structural support and allowed for larger, more complex interior spaces. The use of ribbed vaults in Islamic architecture provided a model for the development of this crucial element of Gothic design. The intricate geometrical patterns and the delicate balance of structural elements in Islamic architecture informed the development of similar techniques in Gothic structures. The stained glass windows of Gothic cathedrals, with their vibrant colors and intricate designs, also reveal a connection to Eastern artistic traditions. While stained glass had been used in earlier architectural styles, The Crusaders' exposure to the rich and colorful mosaics of Byzantine churches and the intricate patterns of Islamic art undoubtedly influenced the development of the highly sophisticated stained glass windows that adorn Gothic cathedrals. The use of vibrant colors, the incorporation of symbolic imagery, and the mastery of light and shadow in these windows are testament to the cross-cultural exchange of artistic ideas. The flying buttresses, which allowed for the construction of taller and more slender structures, also reflect a synthesis of Western and Eastern engineering techniques. While the basic principle of buttressing was known in Romanesque architecture, the development of the more efficient flying buttress, allowing for greater height and less reliance on thick walls, may have been influenced by similar structural solutions found in Eastern architecture. The flying buttress, a marvel of engineering, allowed Gothic architects to push the boundaries of structural design, creating buildings of unprecedented height and elegance. Beyond specific architectural elements, the overall aesthetic of Gothic architecture shows clear Eastern influences. The emphasis on verticality, the use of light and shadow to create a sense of drama and mystery, and the intricate detailing that adorns Gothic structures all reflect the influence of Eastern artistic traditions. The Crusaders' exposure to the grandeur and sophistication of Eastern architecture profoundly impacted their artistic sensibilities, leading to a transformation of European architectural styles. The impact of the Crusades extended beyond architecture to other art forms as well. The exchange of artistic ideas and techniques affected sculpture, painting, and decorative arts. The Crusaders brought back not only physical objects but also artistic techniques and styles, enriching the artistic repertoire of Europe. The intricate patterns, vibrant colors, and sophisticated craftsmanship of Islamic art, for instance, influenced European artistic production. The use of arabesque patterns, the incorporation of geometric designs, and the emphasis on vibrant colors in European art reflects the influence of Islamic artistic traditions. The artistic exchange wasn't a one-way street. European art and artistic techniques also influenced the artistic production of the East. The interaction between East and West during the Crusades resulted in a dynamic exchange of artistic ideas and techniques, leading to a synthesis of artistic styles that enriched both cultures. The Crusades, therefore, served as a catalyst for artistic innovation, resulting in the development of new artistic styles and techniques that profoundly shaped the artistic landscape of Europe. The influence of the Crusades on art and architecture is not merely a matter of borrowed elements. It is a story of creative adaptation, innovation, and cultural exchange. The Crusaders brought back not just objects but also ideas, techniques, and artistic sensibilities that were integrated into the existing artistic traditions of Europe, resulting in a transformation of European aesthetics. The legacy of this exchange is visible in the soaring heights of Gothic cathedrals, the intricate details of their stained glass windows, and the unique artistic styles that emerged during this pivotal period in history. This seemingly simple act of military conquest had profound and lasting consequences, reshaping the artistic landscape of Europe and leaving an indelible mark on our world today. This cultural exchange, a surprising byproduct of war, showcases the remarkable resilience and adaptability of human creativity, transforming conflict into a catalyst for artistic innovation. The legacy of the Crusades extends far beyond the battlefield, enriching the tapestry of human artistic expression in ways we continue to appreciate centuries later. Now, let's turn to a darker, less celebrated aspect of the Crusades, the devastating impact on public health. While we've explored the technological advancements, economic shifts, and cultural exchanges, it's crucial to acknowledge the tragic consequences of these massive military campaigns on the well-being of populations across Europe and the Middle East. The Crusades, inadvertently, became vectors for the spread of deadly diseases, leaving a trail of suffering and death in their wake. The movement of vast armies across continents, the prolonged sieges, and the close-quarters living conditions within crowded encampments created ideal breeding grounds for infectious diseases. Soldiers, often hailing from different regions with varying levels of immunity, brought with them a range of pathogens, exposing populations along their routes and in the regions they conquered to diseases they had never encountered before. This wasn't a simple exchange of germs. It was a cascade of infectious agents, some known, many unknown, that wreaked havoc on already vulnerable communities. The most significant and devastating consequence was the spread of the bubonic plague, also known as the Black Death. While the plague's origins are complex and predate the Crusades, the massive movement of people during these military campaigns undoubtedly contributed to its spread and virulence. The close proximity of soldiers, the unsanitary conditions in camps, and the constant movement of troops across vast distances facilitated the rapid transmission of the plague, creating a perfect storm for a pandemic of unprecedented scale. The Black Death, which ravaged Europe in the 14th century, is a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of large-scale population movements and the fragility of public health in the face of infectious diseases. The impact wasn't limited to the plague. Other infectious diseases, such as typhus, dysentery, and cholera, also spread rapidly during and after the Crusades. These diseases, often exacerbated by malnutrition, poor sanitation, and inadequate medical care, decimated populations across Europe and the Middle East. The lack of understanding regarding the transmission of these diseases, coupled with the primitive medical practices of the time, made it virtually impossible to contain their spread. The Crusades, therefore, represent a tragic example of how seemingly unrelated events, in this case, large-scale military campaigns, can have devastating consequences for public health. The impact extended beyond the immediate mortality rates. The widespread outbreaks of disease led to significant social and economic disruption. The loss of life disrupted agricultural production, leading to food shortages and famine. The economic consequences were severe, affecting trade, commerce, and the overall stability of societies. The constant threat of disease also had a profound psychological impact, creating a climate of fear and uncertainty. The Crusades, therefore, not only resulted in military conflicts but also inflicted a significant public health crisis that had long-lasting social, economic, and psychological consequences. Furthermore, the spread of disease wasn't a one-way street. The Crusaders, exposed to new pathogens in the Middle East, carried them back to Europe, introducing diseases into new populations. This bidirectional transmission of disease highlights the interconnectedness of different regions and the dangers of large-scale population movements in the context of public health. The Crusades, therefore, serve as a stark reminder of the global nature of infectious diseases and the importance of preventative measures in containing their spread. The lack of effective quarantine measures and the limited understanding of disease transmission meant that the spread of these pathogens was largely unchecked. The consequences were catastrophic. It's important to note that the spread of disease during the Crusades wasn't solely a result of military campaigns. Other factors, such as trade routes and population density, also played a role. However, the massive movement of people associated with the Crusades undoubtedly exacerbated the problem, creating a context in which infectious diseases could spread rapidly and widely. The sheer scale of the military expeditions, the prolonged duration of the campaigns, and the unsanitary conditions in the Crusader camps all contributed to the creation of a perfect storm for the spread of disease. The long-term consequences of the disease outbreaks associated with the Crusades were profound and far-reaching. The loss of life led to significant demographic shifts, altering the social and economic fabric of affected regions. The recurring outbreaks of disease also had a lasting impact on public health infrastructure and practices. The experience of the Crusades, therefore, played a role in shaping future approaches to public health and disease prevention. The devastating impact of these epidemics forced communities to grapple with the challenges of managing infectious diseases, leading to the development of rudimentary public health measures. The spread of diseases during the Crusades is a sobering reminder of the unintended and often tragic consequences of large-scale human endeavors. While the Crusades are often remembered for their military achievements, political machinations, and cultural exchanges, it's crucial to acknowledge the devastating impact on public health. The loss of life, the social and economic disruption, and the long-term consequences of the disease outbreaks associated with the Crusades represent a tragic and often overlooked aspect of this pivotal historical period. The study of the spread of disease during the Crusades is not merely a historical exercise, it offers valuable lessons for the present day. The rapid spread of infectious diseases in the context of globalization and increased population mobility highlights the continuing relevance of this historical event. Understanding the challenges faced by medieval societies in managing infectious diseases can inform our contemporary approaches to public health, emphasizing the importance of preventative measures, international cooperation, and effective public health infrastructure in mitigating the risks associated with the spread of infectious diseases. The legacy of the Crusades, therefore, extends beyond the battlefield and the counting house, serving as a stark reminder of the vulnerability of human populations to the devastating power of infectious diseases. The story of the Crusades is incomplete without acknowledging the tragic toll exacted by the diseases they inadvertently spread, a stark reminder of the interconnectedness of human history and the fragility of human health. The unexpected legacy of the Crusades, therefore, includes not only advancements and exchanges, but also a harrowing lesson in the devastating consequences of unchecked disease transmission. The Crusades, while often framed as religious wars, left an indelible mark on the political landscapes of both Europe and the Middle East, a legacy of shifting power dynamics and enduring tensions that reverberate even today. The simplistic narrative of a clash between Christianity and Islam obscures the intricate web of political maneuvering, shifting alliances, and lasting consequences that shaped the course of history. To understand the true impact of the Crusades, we must move beyond the battlefield and examine the profound and long-lasting political ramifications. In Europe, the Crusades had a profound impact on the balance of power between kings, emperors, and the papacy. The expeditions required vast resources, forcing rulers to seek financial support from wealthy merchants and bankers, thus shifting the balance of power away from purely feudal structures. The rise of powerful banking families, such as the Medici in Florence, illustrates this new dynamic, where financial clout became a significant political force. Kings who successfully participated in the Crusades gained prestige and legitimacy, enhancing their authority and consolidating their power within their respective kingdoms. The Crusades became a tool to assert dominance, suppress internal rebellions, and expand territorial control. The absence of monarchs on extended crusades also created opportunities for internal power struggles and regional conflicts. Regents and ambitious nobles often exploited the absence of their rulers to consolidate their own power, leading to internal conflicts and political instability. This created a volatile environment where the balance of power within kingdoms was constantly shifting, leading to long-term political instability. The legacy of these power struggles can be seen in the ongoing conflicts and territorial disputes that marked the centuries following the Crusades. The papacy also experienced a significant shift in its political influence. Initially, the papacy successfully mobilized vast armies for the Crusades, enhancing its religious and political authority. However, the papacy's attempts to exert direct political control over the Crusader states in the Levant proved ultimately unsuccessful. The failure of several crusades and the growing autonomy of the Crusader states challenged the papacy's authority, leading to a decline in its political influence in the later stages of the Crusades. This loss of direct political control, however, did not diminish the papacy's role in shaping the religious and political landscape of Europe. The papacy continued to exert influence through religious pronouncements, political alliances, and the promotion of religious orthodoxy. The Crusades also had a lasting impact on the political organization of Europe. The establishment of new administrative structures and legal systems, designed to manage the logistics and resources of the massive military campaigns, led to innovations in governance. The experience of managing vast armies, coordinating supplies, and enforcing discipline had a profound impact on the development of centralized administrative systems. These innovations, while often born out of necessity, contributed to the development of more efficient and effective systems of governance in Europe. These advancements were not confined to the military realm. They had a broader impact on civil administration and the development of bureaucratic structures. In the Middle East, the Crusades had an equally profound impact, though with vastly different consequences. The establishment of Crusader states in the Levant represented a significant intrusion into the political landscape of the region. These states, though often fragile and contested, fundamentally altered the political map of the region, creating new power dynamics and lasting tensions. The interactions between the Crusaders and the various Muslim rulers and states were complex and multifaceted, characterized by periods of conflict, cooperation, and shifting alliances. The Crusades fueled existing regional conflicts and created new ones, reshaping the political landscape of the Middle East in profound ways. The Muslim world, far from being a monolithic entity, was comprised of numerous kingdoms, empires, and city-states, often at odds with one another. The arrival of the Crusaders exacerbated these pre-existing tensions, creating new alliances and rivalries. The struggles for control of territory, resources, and religious dominance led to ongoing conflicts that continued to shape the political landscape of the region. The Crusades heightened existing religious and political tensions, creating a volatile environment characterized by constant struggle and shifting power dynamics. The failure of the Crusades to establish lasting Christian dominance in the Levant ultimately led to the weakening of the Crusader states. The eventual expulsion of the Crusaders from the Holy Land had significant long-term consequences for the political landscape of the region. The loss of Crusader presence did not necessarily lead to stability. Rather, it created a power vacuum that was filled by competing forces, leading to new conflicts and tensions. The legacy of the Crusades in the Middle East is one of enduring political instability, characterized by repeated conflicts and struggles for power. The impact of the Crusades extended far beyond the immediate military conflicts. The long-term political consequences shaped the religious, social, and economic structures of both Europe and the Middle East. The legacy of the Crusades is not simply a matter of territorial gains or losses. It is a complex and multifaceted story of shifting power dynamics, lasting tensions, and enduring legacies. The Crusades were a catalyst for change, creating new political structures, reshaping alliances, and leaving behind a legacy of conflict and cooperation that continues to shape the world we live in today. The seemingly simple act of religious warfare had profound and unforeseen political repercussions, demonstrating the interconnectedness of religious, political, and social forces in shaping the course of history. Understanding the long-term political consequences of the Crusades requires a nuanced understanding of the complex interplay of forces that shaped this pivotal period in history. The narrative must move beyond the simplistic portrayal of a religious conflict and delve into the intricacies of political maneuvering, shifting alliances, and enduring tensions that continue to affect the world we inhabit. The Crusades, those epic clashes of faith and steel, weren't just about religious fervor and military conquest. They were also a colossal administrative undertaking, requiring the management of vast armies, sprawling logistical networks, and immense financial resources. This monumental challenge, in turn, spurred significant innovations in governance, leading to the development of new legal systems and administrative structures that would profoundly shape the future of Europe. Think about the sheer scale of these expeditions. Tens of thousands of soldiers from diverse backgrounds, hailing from different kingdoms and regions, all needing to be organized, equipped, supplied, and disciplined. This wasn't simply a matter of assembling a ragtag army. It required an unprecedented level of logistical planning and administrative efficiency. The need to manage these vast armies across vast distances, often for years at a time, necessitated the development of sophisticated systems of organization and control. Before the Crusades, governance structures in Europe were often fragmented and decentralized. Feudal systems, with their complex web of loyalties and obligations, predominated. While effective in managing relatively small-scale conflicts and localized administration, these systems were ill-equipped to handle the logistical complexities of large-scale military campaigns such as the Crusades. The sheer scale of the Crusades exposed the limitations of existing governance structures, highlighting the need for more efficient and centralized systems of administration. The logistical challenges of the Crusades forced a rapid evolution in military administration. The need to effectively manage the recruitment, training, provisioning, and deployment of troops led to the development of more formalized military structures. Specialized roles emerged: quartermasters to manage supplies, scribes to record accounts, and administrators to oversee the complex logistical operations. These developments, while primarily focused on military needs, had broader implications for civil administration as well. The experience gained in organizing and managing vast armies translated into more effective methods of managing resources and personnel in civilian life. The establishment of Crusader states in the Levant further accelerated the development of new administrative structures. These states, although often fragile and short-lived, required sophisticated systems of governance to maintain order, collect taxes, enforce laws, and administer justice. The Crusader states, established in a foreign land, necessitated the creation of new legal frameworks adapted to the unique circumstances of these overseas territories. These new legal systems, blending elements of Roman law, canon law, and customary law, represented a significant departure from the existing feudal legal systems of Europe. The administration of justice in the Crusader states presented unique challenges. The diverse population of these states, comprising Christians, Muslims, and Jews, required legal systems that could address the needs of different communities and reconcile conflicting legal traditions. The development of specialized courts, designed to handle disputes involving different religious and legal systems, demonstrates the sophistication of the legal innovations that emerged during the Crusades. These advancements in legal systems and judicial processes had a lasting impact on the development of legal institutions in Europe, contributing to the evolution of more sophisticated and efficient methods of administering justice. Beyond the military and judicial spheres, the Crusades also spurred advancements in civil administration. The need to manage the vast financial resources required for these expeditions necessitated the development of more sophisticated accounting practices and financial management systems. The development of double-entry bookkeeping, for example, allowed for a more accurate and comprehensive tracking of financial transactions, improving the transparency and accountability of financial management. This innovation, born out of the necessity to manage the finances of the Crusades, had a lasting impact on the development of accounting practices in Europe. The expansion of trade and commerce, spurred by the Crusades, also contributed to the evolution of administrative systems. The increased volume of trade required more efficient mechanisms for regulating commerce, enforcing contracts, and resolving trade disputes. The development of more sophisticated systems for managing trade and commerce led to improvements in administrative efficiency and the creation of more robust regulatory frameworks. These developments, while often driven by economic considerations, also had broader implications for governance, contributing to the development of more centralized and efficient administrative systems. The impact of the Crusades on governance was not limited to the immediate creation of new administrative structures and legal systems. The experience gained in managing the logistical and financial complexities of these massive military campaigns had long-term implications for the development of governance in Europe. The development of more efficient and centralized administrative systems, coupled with the evolution of more sophisticated legal frameworks, contributed to the consolidation of royal power and the strengthening of centralized states. Furthermore, the Crusades fostered a greater awareness of different legal and administrative systems, expanding the intellectual horizons of European administrators and legal scholars. The exposure to different legal traditions and governance structures in the Middle East, albeit often through the lens of conflict, broadened the understanding of the possibilities of governance, stimulating innovation and adaptation. This cross-cultural exchange, born amidst the violence and chaos of the Crusades, had a lasting impact on the development of legal and administrative practices in Europe. The legacy of the Crusades in the realm of governance is therefore complex and multifaceted. The seemingly simple act of organizing and managing vast armies and resources led to significant innovations in legal systems, administrative structures, and financial management. These innovations, born out of necessity, had a profound and lasting impact on the development of governance in Europe, contributing to the consolidation of royal power, the strengthening of centralized states, and the evolution of more efficient and effective systems of administration. The Crusades, therefore, were not only a series of military campaigns, they were also a catalyst for significant changes in the way Europe was governed. The unintended consequences of these epic expeditions extended far beyond the battlefield, shaping the very fabric of European governance and leaving a legacy that continues to resonate today. The next time you think about the Crusades, Remember that the story isn't just about religious zeal and military might. It's also about the quiet revolution in governance that was born out of the necessity to manage the logistical and administrative complexities of these epic military campaigns. The legacy of the Crusades extends far beyond the clash of swords, shaping the very foundations of modern governance in unexpected and profound ways. Now, let's journey beyond the battlefield and the counting house to explore a less obvious yet profoundly significant legacy of the Crusades, their impact on the intellectual world. While the popular image focuses on religious conflict and military campaigns, the reality is far richer, revealing a crucial role the Crusades played in transmitting knowledge and sparking the intellectual ferment that would eventually culminate in the Renaissance. The Crusades, despite their violence and destruction, inadvertently became a conduit for the rediscovery of classical learning, profoundly shaping the intellectual landscape of Europe. For centuries, the knowledge of the ancient Greeks and Romans had been largely confined to the Byzantine Empire and the Islamic world. The vast libraries of Alexandria, once a beacon of learning, had long since fallen silent. Yet, throughout the Middle Ages, Islamic scholars had diligently preserved and expanded upon the works of these ancient masters, translating and commenting upon philosophical, scientific, and mathematical texts. This preservation was crucial. Without the Islamic world's dedication, much of classical knowledge might have been lost forever. The Crusades, while not primarily an intellectual endeavor, created unforeseen opportunities for the transmission of this knowledge back to Europe. The contact between Western Crusaders and the scholars and libraries of the East, though often tense and fraught with conflict, resulted in a trickle, and eventually a flood, of classical texts finding their way back to Europe. This wasn't a systematic, planned effort. It was a gradual process of rediscovery, involving various routes and individuals. One of the key channels for the transmission of knowledge was through trade and commerce. Merchants traveling between East and West often carried not only goods but also books and manuscripts. These texts, often copied and circulated among scholars, gradually spread throughout Europe, introducing new ideas and challenging existing intellectual frameworks. The increased interaction between European and Islamic scholars during the Crusades also directly contributed to this transmission. While often separated by religious and cultural differences, intellectual curiosity and a shared passion for knowledge transcended these divides, leading to exchanges of ideas and the sharing of knowledge. The rediscovery of Aristotle's works is a prime example of this intellectual exchange. Aristotle's philosophy, once highly influential in the ancient world, had become largely unknown in Western Europe. Through the Crusades, however, his writings, preserved and studied by Islamic scholars, found their way back to Europe, rekindling the interest in Aristotelian philosophy and setting the stage for its integration into Christian theology. This intellectual encounter sparked vigorous debates and discussions, leading to a period of intellectual ferment that reshaped the understanding of philosophy and science in the West. The impact extended beyond philosophy. The Crusades also facilitated the transmission of knowledge in mathematics, astronomy, and medicine. Islamic scholars had made significant advancements in these fields, building upon and expanding upon the achievements of the ancient Greeks and Romans. These advancements, preserved in Arabic texts, gradually found their way to Europe, stimulating intellectual innovation and contributing to the scientific revolution that would unfold centuries later. The introduction of Arabic numerals is a notable example of this intellectual transfer. The Arabic numeral system, far superior to the Roman numeral system then prevalent in Europe, provided a more efficient and flexible system for mathematical calculations. The adoption of Arabic numerals significantly simplified mathematical operations, facilitating advances in mathematics, science, and engineering. This seemingly small change had a profound impact on the development of European science and technology. Moreover, the Crusades stimulated the creation of new universities and centers of learning in Europe. The influx of classical knowledge and the growing demand for education led to the establishment of new universities and the expansion of existing institutions. These universities became centers of intellectual activity, attracting scholars from across Europe and fostering the exchange of ideas. The curriculum of these universities gradually shifted, incorporating classical learning alongside traditional theological studies. This shift towards a broader, more humanist curriculum laid the groundwork for the intellectual transformation that characterized the Renaissance. The rediscovery of classical texts had a profound impact on the development of humanism. Humanist scholars, inspired by the works of classical authors, emphasized human potential and achievement, promoting a more secular and worldly outlook. This humanistic perspective challenged the medieval emphasis on religious dogma and spurred a renewed interest in classical art, literature, and philosophy. The Renaissance, a period of unparalleled intellectual and artistic flourishing, was significantly influenced by this rediscovery of classical learning, which provided both inspiration and a foundation for the intellectual revolution that would transform Europe. However, it's crucial to acknowledge that the transmission of knowledge wasn't a simple or straightforward process. The Crusades were a period of violence and conflict, and the exchange of knowledge often occurred amidst this turbulent backdrop. The acquisition of texts was sometimes accompanied by the destruction of libraries and the loss of irreplaceable manuscripts. Furthermore, the assimilation of classical knowledge into European intellectual life was a gradual and contested process. The integration of Aristotelian philosophy into Christian theology, for instance, sparked heated debates and controversies, showcasing the complexity of the intellectual transformation that characterized this period. Despite these complexities and challenges, the Crusades played a crucial, though often overlooked, role in facilitating the rediscovery of classical learning. The contact between East and West, the exchange of texts, and the establishment of new centers of learning all contributed to the intellectual ferment that would eventually culminate in the Renaissance. The Crusades, therefore, were not merely a period of religious conflict and military campaigns. They were also a catalyst for a significant intellectual transformation, a pivotal moment in the transmission of knowledge that profoundly shaped the future of European thought. The unintended consequences of these centuries-long conflicts extended far beyond the battlefield, enriching the intellectual landscape of Europe and laying the groundwork for the intellectual revolution that would transform the world. The legacy of the Crusades, therefore, is not just one of war and conquest, but also one of intellectual awakening, a testament to the enduring power of knowledge and the surprising ways in which even the most violent historical events can contribute to the advancement of human understanding. This unexpected intellectual legacy, born out of conflict and chaos, serves as a powerful reminder of the resilience of knowledge and the enduring power of ideas to transcend the boundaries of time, culture, and even war. Now, let's uncover a hidden story, a narrative often omitted from the traditional accounts of the Crusades, the surprising and crucial role played by women. While the iconic image of the Crusades centers on helmeted knights and clashing armies, the reality was far more nuanced, encompassing a complex tapestry of experiences and contributions from women, often overlooked, sometimes deliberately obscured, but undeniably vital to the unfolding of these epic events. The conventional narrative often portrays women as passive bystanders, confined to the domestic sphere, their lives untouched by the turmoil of war. However, a closer examination reveals a far more active and multifaceted participation, encompassing a wide range of roles, from the wives and daughters of knights to the nuns who provided medical care and spiritual support, to the women who engaged in trade and commerce, and even those who directly participated in combat. Let's begin by acknowledging the wives and daughters of the Crusaders. These women were not simply left behind. They often faced immense challenges in managing their households, estates, and families while their husbands were away on crusade. They were responsible for the day-to-day administration of their lands, overseeing agricultural production, managing finances, and resolving disputes within their communities. Many women exhibited remarkable leadership skills, demonstrating resilience and adaptability in the face of adversity. Their contributions were crucial to maintaining the stability of society during the prolonged absences of their husbands. In many cases, these women had to navigate complex political landscapes, negotiating with local officials, protecting their families from threats, and defending their interests in an often hostile environment. The role of women in the religious sphere was equally significant. Nuns played a crucial role in providing medical care and spiritual support to the Crusaders. Monasteries and convents often served as hospitals and centers of relief, offering medical treatment, shelter, and comfort to the wounded, the sick, and the dying. Nuns, trained in herbal medicine and nursing, provided essential medical services, often exceeding the capabilities of the medical practitioners of the time. They played a crucial role in providing psychological and spiritual support to the soldiers, offering comfort and solace in the face of death and suffering. Their contributions were not simply charitable acts, they were crucial to the maintenance of the physical and mental well-being of the Crusaders. Beyond the religious orders, women also played a significant role in the economic aspects of the Crusades. Women engaged in trade and commerce, often managing businesses and supplying goods to the armies. They navigated the intricate networks of trade routes, transporting goods, and establishing commercial connections across vast distances. Their expertise in commerce and their ability to navigate the complex economic landscape of the time were crucial to the logistical success of the Crusades. Many women were skilled entrepreneurs, establishing their own businesses and accumulating considerable wealth. Their contributions to the economic aspects of the Crusades were fundamental to the logistical support of the military campaigns. Furthermore, the historical record, while often incomplete and biased, reveals instances of women directly participating in combat. While not as common as the participation of men, there are documented cases of women fighting alongside men, participating in sieges, and even leading troops into battle. These women, often driven by religious zeal, personal ambition, or the need to defend their families and communities, challenged the societal norms of the time and demonstrated remarkable courage and military skill. Their participation, though often obscured, underscores the multifaceted nature of women's involvement in the Crusades. These instances, while not representative of the majority of women's experiences, challenge the simplistic notion of women as solely passive participants in the events. The contributions of women during the Crusades were often hidden or minimized in historical accounts, predominantly written by men. The prevailing patriarchal structures of the time often relegated women's contributions to the domestic sphere or to supporting roles. However, recent historical research has sought to uncover and highlight the significant roles women played, revealing a far richer and more complex picture of their involvement in these epic events. This reevaluation of historical sources is crucial in offering a more complete and accurate understanding of the past. The lives of women during the Crusades were not always easy or safe. They faced numerous challenges, including poverty, violence, disease, and social discrimination. However, they also demonstrated remarkable resilience, resourcefulness, and leadership skills. Their contributions to the Crusades were multifaceted, encompassing the domestic, religious, economic, and even military spheres. The stories of these women, often lost to history, are now being recovered through meticulous research and a re-examination of historical sources. By acknowledging and celebrating their contributions, we can gain a more complete and accurate understanding of the Crusades. The legacy of the Crusades is not solely one of clashing armies and religious fervor. It is also a story of women's resilience, resourcefulness, and enduring contributions to a pivotal moment in history. These often unseen players shaped the course of events in profound ways. Their impact is a testament to the enduring strength and agency of women, even within the confines of a patriarchal society and the brutal context of medieval warfare. The rediscovery of these narratives is not just an academic exercise, it is a vital act of historical justice. By recognizing the contributions of women, we create a more inclusive and accurate understanding of the past, challenging traditional narratives and offering a richer, more nuanced perspective on this pivotal period in history. The legacy of the Crusades is far more complex than the simplistic narratives we've inherited, and the often unsung contributions of women are a vital part of that complexity. Their stories, when fully told, enrich our understanding of the human experience, demonstrating the remarkable capacity for strength, resilience, and agency in the face of adversity. The Crusades were not only a time of war and conquest, they were also a crucible in which women's roles were redefined, even if that redefinition remained largely hidden from the official historical record. Their hidden contributions, when finally brought to light, reveal a far more complete and vibrant story of this transformative period. The next time we discuss the Crusades, let us remember not just the knights and kings, but also the women whose contributions, though often obscured, were essential to the unfolding of these epic events. Their legacies deserve to be recognized and celebrated, illuminating a hidden dimension of this pivotal period in history. So, we've journeyed through a whirlwind tour of the Crusades, uncovering unexpected legacies and challenging long-held assumptions. But before we conclude, it's crucial to address the enduring myths and misconceptions that continue to shroud this pivotal period in history. For centuries, the Crusades have been interpreted through a lens of simplistic narratives, often fueled by biased accounts and a lack of access to diverse sources. This has led to a skewed understanding of the events, perpetuating inaccurate and often harmful stereotypes. One of the most persistent myths is the notion of the Crusades as a purely religious war, a straightforward clash between Christianity and Islam driven solely by religious zeal. While religious motivations undoubtedly played a significant role, reducing the Crusades to this simplistic dichotomy ignores the complex interplay of political ambition, economic incentives, and social dynamics that shaped these epic events. Kings and emperors used the Crusades to consolidate their power, expand their territories, and eliminate rivals. Ambitious nobles saw an opportunity for glory, land, and wealth. Merchants sought new markets and trading opportunities. The motivations of the participants were diverse and often intertwined, far from being a monolithic force driven solely by religious fervor. The image of the Crusaders as valiant heroes battling against a monolithic and uniformly evil enemy is equally misleading. The Islamic world during the Crusades was not a unified entity. It was a diverse collection of kingdoms, empires, and city-states, often at odds with one another. Interactions between Crusaders and Muslims were not always characterized by violence. Periods of cooperation, trade, and even cultural exchange existed, challenging the simplistic narrative of constant warfare. The reality was far more nuanced, a complex tapestry of interactions, alliances, and conflicts that defy easy categorization. The popular perception often paints a picture of the Crusaders as a unified, highly disciplined, and uniformly pious force. This image, often perpetuated by romanticized accounts and artistic depictions, ignores the internal divisions, the lack of cohesion, and the diverse motivations of the participants. The Crusader armies were far from monolithic. They were composed of individuals from diverse backgrounds, with varying levels of training, discipline, and religious commitment. Their motivations were complex and often conflicting, ranging from religious zeal to economic opportunity to the pursuit of personal glory. The internal conflicts and power struggles within the Crusader armies often hampered their effectiveness and contributed to their ultimate failure. The narrative of the Crusades has also been shaped by the limited and often biased nature of historical sources. Many early accounts were written by participants or chroniclers with a vested interest in portraying the events in a particular light, often exaggerating the achievements of their own side and demonizing their opponents. This bias has skewed our understanding of the events, leading to inaccurate and incomplete interpretations. Recent historical research, however, has increasingly sought to incorporate a wider range of sources, including those from the Islamic world and those written by women, offering a more complete and nuanced understanding of the Crusades. The notion that the Crusades were a complete failure for the Christian world is another persistent misconception. While the Crusaders ultimately failed to establish a lasting Christian kingdom in the Holy Land, their impact extended far beyond the battlefield. Their influence is visible in the technological advancements they spurred, the economic changes they initiated, the cultural exchanges they facilitated, and the lasting political and social transformations they brought about. The Crusades were a complex and multifaceted historical event, and its legacy continues to shape our world today. To dismiss it as a simple failure is to ignore its profound and enduring impact. The impact of the Crusades on the Islamic world is often overlooked or misunderstood. While the Crusades undoubtedly caused significant disruption and suffering in the Middle East, their impact was not simply destructive. The interaction between East and West during the Crusades led to a significant exchange of ideas, technologies, and cultural practices. This cross-pollination, though often occurring amidst violence and conflict, enriched both cultures. The transfer of knowledge in mathematics, astronomy, and medicine, for example, had a lasting impact on the development of science in the Islamic world. The constant reinterpretations of the Crusades by modern historical research highlight the limitations of relying solely on traditional narratives. By incorporating a wider range of sources, utilizing interdisciplinary approaches, and employing more sophisticated analytical techniques, historians are continually refining our understanding of this complex period. The Crusades are no longer viewed as a simple religious conflict, but rather as a multifaceted historical event shaped by a complex interplay of religious, political, economic, and social factors. The enduring myths and misconceptions surrounding the Crusades are not merely historical curiosities, they have real-world implications. These inaccurate narratives have fueled religious and political tensions, perpetuated harmful stereotypes, and distorted our understanding of intercultural relations. By engaging with a more accurate and nuanced understanding of the Crusades, we can foster a more informed and responsible approach to historical interpretation and intercultural dialogue. Challenging these myths is not just about correcting historical inaccuracies, it is about fostering a more accurate and inclusive understanding of the past, one that acknowledges the complexities and nuances of human history. The Crusades were a complex and multifaceted period in history, far more nuanced than the simplistic narratives often presented. Recent scholarship has challenged many long-held assumptions, revealing unexpected legacies and challenging the traditional good versus evil dichotomy. It's a story of technological innovation, cultural exchange, economic transformation, and devastating consequences. It's a story of ambition, faith, brutality, and surprising cooperation. It's a story that continues to resonate today, reminding us of the complexities of human interaction and the enduring impact of the past on the present. By understanding the multifaceted nature of the Crusades, we can gain a far richer and more accurate understanding of their profound and lasting legacy. This continued reinterpretation of the Crusades underscores the dynamic and ever-evolving nature of historical understanding. It highlights the importance of critical thinking, the need for diverse perspectives, and the ongoing task of unpacking the complexities of the past to better understand the present and shape a more informed future. The journey to understanding history is a continuous one, a process of constant revision and reinterpretation as new evidence emerges and new perspectives are considered. The Crusades, with their enduring myths and ongoing reinterpretation, stand as a powerful testament to this ongoing journey of historical understanding. And that, my friends, is a legacy worth exploring, questioning, and continuously reevaluating. So, there you have it. We've journeyed through a whirlwind tour of the Crusades, a period often reduced to a simplistic narrative of religious conflict, a clash between Christianity and Islam. But as we've explored, the reality was far, far richer, a complex tapestry woven with threads of political ambition, economic innovation, cultural exchange, and devastating consequences. The legacy of the Crusades extends far beyond the battlefield, its impact reverberating through history in ways that might surprise, even shock you. We started by dismantling the popular image, the clashing armies, the religious zealots, revealing a far more nuanced reality. The Crusades were not simply a holy war, they were a multifaceted event driven by a complex interplay of factors. Religious fervor certainly played a role, but it was intertwined with political maneuvering, economic incentives, and the thirst for power and glory. Kings and emperors saw opportunities to expand their territories, ambitious nobles sought wealth and prestige, and merchants envisioned new trade routes and markets. The participants themselves were a diverse group, far from being a monolithic force of pious warriors. The technological advancements spurred by the Crusades were nothing short of remarkable. The constant warfare fueled an arms race, driving innovation in weaponry, shipbuilding, and siege warfare. The need to transport armies across vast distances led to advancements in naval architecture and navigation. improved siege weaponry, more effective armor, and the eventual introduction of gunpowder fundamentally altered the dynamics of warfare. These innovations weren't confined to the battlefield. They had broader implications for civil engineering, manufacturing, and the development of urban infrastructure. The exchange of ideas and knowledge was equally transformative. The Crusades fostered a surprising level of cultural exchange between East and West, a cross-pollination of ideas, technologies, and cultural practices. The introduction of new foods and spices revolutionized European cuisine, fundamentally altering the culinary landscape. Think of your favorite Italian dishes. Many owe their origins, at least partially, to the spices and ingredients brought back from the East. The exchange wasn't limited to food. It extended to architecture, art, philosophy, and science. Gothic architecture, with its soaring spires and intricate detailing, reveals clear influences from the East. The rediscovery of classical Greek and Roman texts, preserved and studied by Islamic scholars, played a crucial role in fueling the Renaissance. The impact on trade routes was undeniable. The Crusades significantly altered the flow of goods and resources across the Mediterranean, creating new trade hubs and connecting Europe more directly with the East. This increased volume of trade led to the development of more sophisticated financial systems, the rise of powerful banking families, and the creation of innovative financial instruments that would shape the future of European finance. The financing of these massive military campaigns demanded a level of financial organization that simply didn't exist before, prompting innovations in banking, credit, and accounting that laid the groundwork for modern capitalism. However, the legacy of the Crusades is not without its darker side. The massive movement of people across continents inadvertently facilitated the spread of devastating diseases, including the bubonic plague. The unsanitary conditions in crowded encampments, coupled with the lack of understanding regarding disease transmission, created a perfect storm for epidemics that decimated populations across Europe and the Middle East. This tragic consequence serves as a stark reminder of the unintended and often devastating consequences of large-scale human endeavors. The long-term political consequences were profound. The Crusades reshaped the political landscape of both Europe and the Middle East, creating lasting tensions and shifting power dynamics. In Europe, they contributed to the consolidation of royal power and the development of more centralized states. In the Middle East, they exacerbated existing conflicts and created new ones, leaving a legacy of instability that continues to resonate today. The need to manage vast armies and resources led to innovations in governance, including the development of new legal systems and administrative structures that would profoundly shape the future of Europe. The role of women in the Crusades, often overlooked, was surprisingly significant. Women played crucial roles in managing households, estates, and families while their husbands were away. They engaged in trade and commerce, provided medical care and spiritual support, and in some instances, even participated directly in combat. Their contributions, often hidden or minimized in historical accounts, were essential to the success of the Crusades and deserve to be recognized and celebrated. We also address the enduring myths and misconceptions surrounding the Crusades, challenging simplistic narratives and emphasizing the complexity of this pivotal period. The Crusades were far more than just religious wars. They were a multifaceted event with profound and lasting consequences that continue to shape our world today. From the technological innovations to the cultural exchanges, from the economic transformations to the devastating consequences on public health, the legacy of the Crusades is rich, complex, and surprisingly multifaceted. The ongoing reinterpretation of this period by modern historical research highlights the dynamic and ever-evolving nature of historical understanding. So, as we conclude this journey, remember that the Crusades were a pivotal moment in history, a period that profoundly shaped the world we inhabit. Their impact extends far beyond the battlefield, reaching into every aspect of our lives, from the food we eat to the buildings we admire, from the financial systems that govern our economies to the very way we understand history itself. The Crusades were a complex and multifaceted event, a period of both brutal conflict and surprising cooperation, of destruction and creation, of unintended consequences and enduring legacies. They were far more than just religious wars. They were a transformative period that reshaped the world in ways we are only beginning to fully understand. The story of the Crusades is a testament to the interconnectedness of history, the unexpected consequences of human actions, and the enduring power of the past to shape the present. It's a story that challenges our assumptions, expands our understanding, and reminds us of the importance of critically examining the narratives we inherit. It's a story that continues to unfold as historians uncover new evidence, challenge existing interpretations, and offer fresh perspectives. The legacy of the Crusades is a rich and complex tapestry, woven with threads of violence and cooperation, innovation and destruction, ambition and faith. It is a tapestry that continues to be woven, reinterpreted, and reevaluated by each generation that seeks to understand the past and its impact on the present. This ongoing reevaluation highlights the dynamic and ever-evolving nature of historical understanding, emphasizing the importance of critical thinking, the need for diverse perspectives, and the ongoing task of unpacking the complexities of the past to better understand the present and shape a more informed future. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I hope this exploration has challenged your preconceived notions and offered a fresh perspective on this pivotal period in history. The Crusades were far more than just religious wars. Their impact reverberates through history, shaping our world in ways you might never have imagined. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more unexpected historical insights. We'll continue to explore the hidden corners of history, uncovering the fascinating and often surprising legacies of the past. Until next time, keep exploring.